In the beginning, there were people, or whatever, who wanted to connect. First through gestures, later with a complex series of signals that only other people could understand. The earliest attempts at language.
I'm Della Fashante, and I'm going to teach Zipper how to sign Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in American Sign Language.
I'm a quick learner.
And people being people, that language became so complicated they needed symbols to convey their meaning. Soon, messages could speak to a vast audience, the starting point for mass communication, making an entire network necessary to dispense all that information. Now we are instantly reachable anywhere, and information is faster, smaller, cheaper, but at what cost? Because in today's world, we can communicate, but do we have any idea what we're saying?
It's a jump ball, and everybody's trying to figure out how we get from where we are to where this revolution is taking us and be able to survive it.
This is a story about communications technology, how we use it today, and how we might use it in the future. This is Your Voice.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again too. Thanks for
You
coming
too.
by.
Good to see you, no problem.
Well, we're excited to do the interview, so you want to just go inside?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Julie, who is the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission?
The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission was set up by 6 jurisdictions, Gresham, Troutdale, Wood Village, Fairview, Portland, and Multnomah County, to oversee the use of the public right-of-ways by cable companies.
The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, or MHCRC, collects fees from cable companies for their use of our public property. With that money, they provide consumer protection and create standards closing the digital divide between those with access to communications technology and those without.
And so that was the kind of impetus behind the Your Voice initiative, was to really dig into our local community and talk to the diversity of our community and find out what their thoughts are on the subject. One of the most exciting and unique aspects of our process was partnering with the program that you're involved with at Caldera. We were really excited to get involved with a youth program. It is your communications technology, so engage and take it where it needs to go.
The only time I ever really thought about stuff like cell phones and iPods is when they take them from us at the beginning of Camp Caldera. The Your Voice initiative sounds just so complex. It's hard to even know where to start.
Here in Multnomah County, we didn't have a lot of data around what's available, what are the inequities. The Commission really wanted to look at how communications technology was currently being used and was available in our community specifically, and then what are the future needs of our constituencies and our very diverse communities throughout Multnomah County.
The Commission gathered all their information and organized it into what they call a mind map. This narrowed down our questions as we interviewed community experts and leaders. With the help of Tom Robinson's consulting group, we generated 700 responses to one survey alone. The first thing we wanted to know, what is the level of communications technology in our communities today?
Well, there's no doubt that pretty much every aspect of life is impacted currently by telecommunications technology.
Common goals or common activities is something that we rely on technology for. Texting, Twittering, which I do, all are attempts to try to stay in contact with one another. If you are not in contact, if you do not have communication, you're not going to be able to be in a community.
And then therefore we can communicate with many more people, either individually or simultaneously, and really get a very robust and diverse dialogue going if we use these tools appropriately.
The assessment was rolling, with over 1,700 responses to the online individual survey. The next thing we wanted to know, what are our communications technology needs right now?
As we all know, now communications technology is really vital to the health and livability of our community.
You know, we had evidence just earlier this year when Central Northeast Neighbors did a blast to Facebook and email, and they got on the news, they were able to get that message, and then they had cameras at the event. If they had had to wait to go through the print media to get that, it wouldn't have happened.
I don't know what Twitter is. I don't have a Facebook. I can barely use my cell phone. I haven't downloaded a single song to my phone, but I know it is important. I know the value of it, and I know that if people are given the opportunity to use this, it will help them.
Whether you're feeling sad, happy, excited, nervous, somehow you can put it in a dance and show that to people without using any words. The way that communications technology has evolved is unbelievable over the past 10 years, and I don't think projects like this would be possible without the advancements we've made in audio-visual communication. It's possible for me now to sit down in front of my computer and talk with someone in China real time, and I don't think we could have done that 10 years ago, and so a project like this wouldn't have happened.
I think that people are interested in utilizing sort of video in telling their stories, sort of like an extension of your eyes. It's an extension of your voice. It sort of like gives us the opportunity to reach more people in this really unique way.
Sometimes we're more visual, sometimes we're more conversational, and that's a better way to communicate the information to us.
Using the technology and media, it's becoming more and more critical to our community.
So for parents, if they're uncomfortable and want to know how to talk to their son or daughter, they have a way to do that. They can go online and do that.
When the adult population are at par with the advances in technology, then they feel more comfortable and more assertive in dealing with their children.
Whatever technologies emerge, it doesn't have to be the Cadillac version of technology, but it does have to be something that allows them, the people who really need it the most, to participate in the full society and the full array of options that are available. That'll be better for them and their children.
Is there anything that you'd like the residents to have that they don't have or they don't have universally, whether it's...
I'd like them all to have computers, every single person in town, and be able to communicate that way.
What I do see is there are people that are only technically literate, but they don't have the balance to really create meaningful work. And that's, again, what I was saying about Caldera, that I feel like their program seems to be really geared toward that, giving a good balance of here's these great tools to help you create the work that you want to create, but again, they're only tools.
Just like helping each other at Caldera, several community organizations help their constituents with equity. Among the 8 focus groups held, we posed this question: what are the differences in our communications technology needs and interests?
I once did a survey when I was working with the schools, and I went around and I asked, what percentage of your parents are online? And the teacher said, online? I want to know how many of my parents have electricity.
There's a lot of the people that we need to reach, they don't necessarily use some of the newer technology. They're not going to necessarily be going to Twitter or Facebook to find out about this process. The phone call for many is probably the best way to reach them.
These days, almost everyone owns a phone, and that has revolutionized people's communication. It is perhaps the 21st century's most innovative, most democratic tool.
It's really a gift that we all have in this country to be able to communicate so well on so many different levels. I'd like to level the playing field if we can. The more educated, especially our young people are, then they're going to be more of an asset as they get into their families and in the community.
We have all this technology, but we're just not using it the way it needs to be used. Like my friends, I know the only time they use the internet is if they have to write a paper or to check their Facebook or MySpace. They don't know what the internet can do.
We realized that joining the internet too and having all this fabulous research networking wouldn't solve the basic problem of connectivity here in the region. We don't have access everywhere equally. So we still have these funny tariff boundaries, and one major carrier is in this area and the other carrier's over here. And those kinds of arbitrary monetary limitations really have a chilling effect on normal people.
It's more about getting the access, just like you said, out there to anybody who needs it, regardless of where they are, who the telecom provider of the day is, and how much they want to charge for it. I mean, that just needs to all go away.
In addition to that, we're hoping that people realize that locally we need to kind of take charge of and be proactive in being involved in our communications technology and not just rely on the big international corporations to provide for our local needs.
So then, what is the role of local government in meeting our communications technology needs?
We take for granted, cell phones, and we take for granted cable, and we take for granted laptops. We could have all the technology in the world, but if libraries and colleges and schools didn't have, cable or laptops or some way of communicating, then, that wouldn't happen. In fact, we wouldn't be here today filming.
Again, it's about accessibility and it's about equity. There may be areas within Multnomah County where folks don't have that access, and I think that's really important.
Because we're not going to go backwards. Nothing's going to blow up and all of a sudden, we're going to go backwards in terms of our technology. It's happening so rapidly that we really do need to help bring these people along so that they get it.
Key role that government can play as a facilitator of bringing to the table the private sector, the innovators of technology, and bridging that with the community.
The distinction about public versus private should also be meaningless. It should really be about each human has access to broadband, and they should be empowered to use that broadband connection for whatever they need to get their business done.
The fact that small businesses don't have the buying power, the bandwidth, they can't sign a $20 million telecom deal.
So whether it's communications or anything else, but in this case communications, this would be one that would be worth an investment by the government to make sure that people had the ability to communicate, which is basic to humanity.
During the all-day workshop for nonprofits, we begin discussing what is the future for communications technology.
We all know our communities are more and more moving onto the web to consume their media. It can potentially be a much more democratizing medium.
Being able to write a letter is a great thing. Being able to tweet as well can be a good thing too. The question is how we're going to use them, who's going to use them.
Where we really need our eyes and ears on the streets of this country and the other countries in which we operate, and what is emerging out of the youth culture. That's what will define our success.
It's sort of like that, build it and they will come. Well, that kind of is what's happening, because if you don't do it, you might get left behind, so do it now.
If there was a way that we could work more collaboratively, thinking the model that says government gives you money, but that looks like government facilitates how we all use this resource.
The technology that brought cable on the scene in the 80s is not the technology that's going to be bringing video content to the public in the future. We need to be thinking forward to deliver basically the same services, but through different technology.
Gone are the days where you get your news from the newspaper. And perhaps gone are the days when you sit down for an hour at 6 o'clock to watch network news.
Good evening, everybody. This is Styx, and you're watching Tech Talk. In the news today, a kid burns himself trying to call his mother using smoke signals. I blame it on the economy. Messenger pigeons carry off a small chihuahua. Experts say don't get carried away. Did you hear about the man who got radio in his molars? Probably didn't happen, because I didn't hear about it. I think the future of the iPad is they're just going to sell the iPod Touch and just call it an iPad Nano. Well, this is Styx, and you've been watching Tech Talk. Stay current, people.
The assessment was delivered to the cable commissioners, who focused on the last question. What has been the public benefits of the MHCRC's cable franchise agreement?
A lot of people got really excited about what we were doing. I think part of it is that, again, this is the first time that I think someone has done a more comprehensive look.
We haven't necessarily been able to crunch all the data that we need to crunch to really get at all of the benefits. I mean, we don't know all the stories, all the ways that we have impacted, that these franchise dollars have impacted our community. We don't know all the ways, all the lives that we've touched. I think this ascertainment has given us a glimpse at that, but I think it's just the tip of the iceberg.
We hope that the public and local government officials and other folks start realizing that communications technology and infrastructure planning is really important to the health of our community.
When the Your Voice initiative started, I was in the process of getting off of the streets and into more stable living. Now that I have a more stable home, and I've gotten my grades up, I decided to make an orientation video for a homeless shelter called New Avenues for Youth. I knew absolutely nothing about making a film. I knew how to say action, and I knew how to say cut.
What are you doing?
We had the best senior project ever. Instead of just talking more, we're communicating better. You never know what you'll find out when you really listen.
I played rugby in college.
No way! Communications technology makes our lives easier. It can make an impact on the issues that are important to us with nothing more than our faces, personalities, and our voices. With these tools, I am empowered to make a difference for others. Because every voice has value. Every voice is equal, and every voice should be heard. Communications technology put into my hands gave me a voice, one that sets me free. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something.
Feeling free.
Yeah.
Yeah, sit back, enjoy your freedom. I'm feeling free at this very moment. Loving the feel, love is free. Yes, my Lord, love is free. Love is the key. Must have freedom to truly love when you free. Seeing the best that love be. If it's not free, then it's not LOVE. True love. This is the love I'm speaking of.
What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another. Feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black.
We still advocate nonviolence, passive resistance, and still determined to use the weapon of love.
Hi, I'm Bobby Johnson, and I'm about to invade the Wild family's house, cooking in the kitchen, without the permission. Bobby Johnson. Bobby Johnson. You know who I am. You probably seen me on the TV.
Yeah.
Watching me on the laptop. Where's your food at?
We got no room for food. We got too much technology around the house.
What do you eat?
Technology.
I cook for keeps.
See this? Yeah?
Why are all your children multiracial?
Why don't you have any food?
We eat technology. We live off of it. We don't know what else to do with it. It's just laying around the house. Why not?
Well, you could give it to some people at freecycle.org.
Hi, I'm Bobby.
He's Bobby.
Don't be like the Wild family. Recycle your used technology at freecycle.org or freegeek.org. Get some real food in your house.